The Real Outdoor Experience is brought to you by Fast Track Performance. Share our passion. Vortex Optics, the force of optics. And Bullseye London, Canada's sport shooting supply source. Now let's keep it real.
Hi everybody, welcome. It's Carlin and Ian from the Real Outdoor Experience. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode 6. I can't believe it, episode 6 already. Really hope you enjoyed episode 5, and that was our calling episode. But episode 6 is all about the choices between firearms and archery, and which one do you really pick? Who knows? But stand by, we'll help you decide right after this. Bullseye London is Canada's sport shooting supply source, with expert sales staff ready to assist you. Whether it's on the phone, online, or face-to-face, you will be taken care of. From optics to ammunition, handguns to long guns, Bullseye carries a huge stock, and if they don't have it, chances are they can get it. Do yourself a favor, and before you go anywhere else, check out Bullseye. You can find them at 820 Warncliffe Road South in London, Ontario, or at bullseyelondon.com. What do we tell people when they're looking to start turkey hunting and there's all these choices to be made about gear and whatnot? And today we're talking about firearms. So is it a 10 gauge, a 20 gauge, so a bow, crossbow? Like, where do you start?
All about personal preference and what you feel most comfortable with. Can't stress enough, knowing your range with whether you're shooting a gun or a bow, probably the most important part. Turkeys are difficult when it comes to movement, and that's where a shotgun will really give an advantage because you can hold steady with a shotgun, you continue to call. If you've mastered calling with one hand, you can keep a gun up and still be effective. It's the movement that's tricky. Crossbow is much easier, hold steady and to operate without moving. Compound bow is very, very difficult. It's a big movement as you go to get drawn, and that's why most compound hunters will choose to hunt out of a ground blind or concealment system of some sort. We'll talk about concealment in the next episode. As far as what is going to help you harvest your turkey, it's all going to kill a turkey. 20 gauge, 12 gauge, 10 gauge, crossbow, compound bow, using appropriate broadheads and whatnot. It's all going to get the job done as long as the turkey is in range and you can get set up on him without having him alert to your movements. As I've said before, Remington makes a duplex load with 4s and 6s that I think is a fabulous load. Something that's important to remember is that 20 gauge, 12 gauge, and 10 gauge all have the same punch. So the pellets are all leaving the end of the barrel at exactly the same speed. The only difference between them is the volume of shot. We've determined that a 20 gauge with an extra full turkey choke is just as effective at 20 yards as a 12 gauge is. It's just as effective at 40 yards as a 12 gauge is. And that was a good experience for both of us to go out and actually shoot and see how our 20 gauges and 12 gauges performed at those ranges. There's a lot of debate about whether a 12 gauge or a 20 gauge is the right shotgun for turkey hunting. And what Carl and I have done today is shown using federal ammunition, number 4 shot, 3-inch shells, a 20 gauge versus 12 gauge, both with extra full turkey chokes. This is a 12 gauge at 20 yards. This is a 12 gauge at 40 yards. This is a 20 gauge at 20 yards. This is a 20 gauge at 40 yards. But as you can see, there's very, very little difference. All 4 of those are very dead turkeys as far as I'm concerned. 12 gauge is a punishing round and can cause flinch and can frankly bother people and can turn them off of shooting. There's absolutely no reason why you need to lug a 12 gauge around. 20 gauge is light, less recoil, easier to shoot, and as we've demonstrated, equally efficient in terms of turkey hunting. Fixed broadheads will have a cutting diameter, and placed through the lungs or heart of a deer or turkey is going to be very, very effective. Now, one of the advantages to the mechanical broadhead is just the cutting surface when that opens up is quite a bit bigger than the fixed head. But again, it's all about how accurate your particular bow is going to shoot. On my compound bow, the toxic broadhead, it's a pretty deadly combination. There's no question about that. Make sure that when you're choosing your broadheads that you're using the same grain weight as your practice tip. So if you're practicing with 125, don't go to a 100 grain broadhead and vice versa. It is important to have that consistently just so you know that your arrow is going to hit whatever you want to shoot at.
Ian, how important is a choke on a shotgun?
It's hugely important because that is what's going to determine exactly what your pattern is. And if you have a tight choke, which is what an extra full turkey choke is, it's going to keep your pattern dense for a longer range and then slowly open out, as opposed to having, say, an improved cylinder or a modified choke where your pattern's going to come out of your gun and go like that. you're a beginner turkey hunter, or you want to get into turkey hunting and you're going to go out and purchase a gun, I can't stress enough the importance of buying a gun that has the screw-in choke options. It's going to give you a lot more versatility with how you use that shotgun, and it will let you tighten up your pattern and what your range really is.
So again, with the hunting ethics, it's important for us to take the ethical shot always. And if we are not comfortable with our gear, if we don't practice and make sure we check our patterns, and then we lose the bird. It's just a horrible feeling to have that happen.
Carlin, along with your choice of bow, crossbow, or shotgun, or compound, a sight is going to have a huge impact. And I know one of the challenges with just a fiber optic sight or an open sight on a shotgun is that when you get out to that 35 to 40 yard range, your back sights are going to cover a big part of what you want to shoot at. Crosshairs or a red dot is going to give you a huge advantage when it comes to being able to center directly on the bird, that, right on the head or the neck, wherever you choose to shoot. We like Vortex. One of the things that we do like about it's such a high quality optic. Their scopes, the V-Bright, again, is shooting in low light conditions. Being able to get that little red pinhead that you can get right on your target, I can't say enough about.
Absolutely. There's the dusk and dawn periods seem to be very productive in hunting many species. So to have that little extra, that red dot or the V-Bright reticle, it just makes all the better for an ethical shot. Are you sure about that shot? Do you feel good about that shot? Are you making that shot because it's taken a ton of work to get there? Or are you making the shot because you're confident that you know the shot placement?
Thanks, everybody. I hope you learned a little bit about firearms versus archery today. It was certainly a pleasurable topic for us, and it was fun to go out and do our shooting and talk about the patterns and be able to see some of the effectiveness of what our guns are at certain ranges. So we're looking forward to bringing episode 7, which is going to be all about concealment and different camouflage patterns. Thanks for tuning, everybody. And as always, if you can take a kid hunting, turkey hunting is hugely exciting for young people and old people that perhaps haven't had an opportunity to go out hunting before. So thanks again for tuning in. And as always,
keep it real. Thanks and take care for now, folks.